My Lords, I would like to say that my interests, of course, are in the Lords Register. I'd first of all like to thank my noble friend for securing this debate. I think there are few who are better informed on this subject, more knowledgeable and committed as he is, and we've heard this afternoon. My Lords, as has been said, I chair the Independent Medicines and Medical Devices Safety Review. It's focused on how the healthcare system has responded to concerns about medicines and devices raised by patients. When the review reports later this year, we will make recommendations to improve matters, but in terms of what has happened up to now, 3 medical interventions are in our scope. First, Primodos. Primodos was withdrawn from the market in 1978. But concerns had been raised years earlier. Babies were born damaged. Those that survived are disabled. Secondly, sodium valproate. The link between sodium valproate and birth defects has been known for many years, yet women and babies continue to be exposed to the risk. Experts suggest about 20,000 people have been harmed. For the families involved, it is life-changing and extremely distressing. For those women who took Primodos and sodium valproate, there is an intense feeling of guilt. They took the medication, they blame themselves, and however one tries to persuade them that it is not their fault, the guilt remains. Thirdly, surgical mesh. Many thousands of women have had mesh inserted for incontinence or prolapse. The majority have not reported any problems, but a significant and a growing minority have suffered terrible complications. Excruciating chronic pain, described as feeling like razors inside the body, damage to organs, autoimmune problems, the loss of mobility, the loss of a sex life, depression and suicidal thoughts. The impact of mesh is not only on the woman herself, but of course on her family. The physical and mental pain has led to the breakup of marriages and partnerships. Many cannot work. If they lose their job, they face losing their home. Children have become their mother's carers, and some even face the prospect of their children going into care. My Lord, so concerned were we by what we heard about mesh that as an interim measure we recommended a pause in the use of mesh until stringent conditions that we set have been met. The pause has been in place since last summer. My Lords, I've carried out a number of reviews into health-related matters, and I do have to say this is the most troubling and the most harrowing. The suffering of so many people and their families is heartbreaking. The pain, both physical and emotional, is almost impossible to imagine. My team and I made it our priority to do something about the system that has failed to do all these years, to listen and to learn from what we hear. We have travelled the length and breadth of the UK. We have met many, many hundreds of people who have been directly affected and their families. We have heard from many, many more by email or phone. So I wish to pay tribute to all those we've met. Their courage and dignity in the face of such suffering is truly remarkable. It has been a privilege to meet them. The campaign groups who support them do simply wonderful work. I've been deeply saddened, not just by the personal stories, but by the constant reminder that this harm was avoidable. Their lives have been turned upside down, but they didn't need to be. We will continue to listen to those affected. We have also received a huge amount of written evidence, all of which is on our website. We are now in the midst of our oral hearings, where we are taking evidence from regulators, medical colleges, manufacturers, the NHS and others. These evidence sessions are video recorded and again available via the review's website. We are not looking to blame, but to ensure that we learn. Our starting point has been some simple questions. Could and should things have been done differently? Could actions have been taken more quickly? What needs to happen now, and who needs to do it? We have more evidence to hear before we write our report, but there are some emerging themes. The lack of proper warnings about risks, the lack of informed consent, a system whose first inclination is to deny that there is a problem or simply to ignore concerns. Where concerns are eventually heard, the sluggishness of a proper response, the dismissiveness and the arrogance of some, and I stress only some, in the medical profession, the Byzantine complexity of a regulatory system that few within it seem to fully understand, let alone patients and the public. The fight for diagnosis and support when things have gone wrong, and the inadequate resources available, whether it is to follow up surgery in the cases of MESH, or medical, social and educational care in the case of sodium valproate and Primodos. Most troubling to me is that these issues have come to our attention not because they've been raised by regulators, doctors, the NHS, but by people power. People affected have organised themselves into campaign groups and, with the help of members of Parliament, pushed the issue up the agenda until finally someone takes notice. My Lords, that tells me there is something seriously wrong, a system that is not working as it should. People who have been harmed should not have to fight to be heard or to access the care they need. No medical procedure, of course, is without risk, and innovation is crucial in healthcare, and we mustn't stifle it. But it is vital that an individual is able to make an informed decision about a medicine or a procedure, a decision based on a clear and full explanation of the benefits and the risks. And it is vital that regulators act with independence and impartiality in approving a medicine or a device. That safety comes before commercial interests, that they listen carefully to patient-reported concerns and act swiftly on those concerns. It is vital that surgeons carry out operations for which they are suitably trained, that they have the right level of experience, that they show compassion, and that a comprehensive database exists. And when things do go wrong, unavoidable harm is suffered, the test of a good healthcare system, indeed of a good society, is our ability to listen, to say sorry, to learn, to provide the right care and redress. My Lords, you will be forgiven for thinking that these points are a statement of the obvious. A year ago, before I started this review, I would have thought so too. Having heard and seen what happens to people when the system fails, I know now they are not. There is much to be done before we can be assured that the system listens to concerns and responds as we would wish. And finally, my Lords, I am determined that my review plays its part in making that happen. But this is a challenge for all of us in this place and in the healthcare system. Noble Lords taking part in this debate and others in this House possess expertise and experience that will be invaluable in ensuring we have a system fit for the future. I hope my review can draw on that as we continue our work.
Yeah.